Welcome back. Please like and subscribe for more content. October 6, 2021, Bad Company. Wolves travel in groups. Elephants congregate in herds. Birds congregate. Cheaters stick together. Is this last statement true? I suppose so. Allow me to tell you a story. My STBX has two good pals. These buddies, along with their wonderful wives, would join my STBX and me for meals, children's birthday parties, concerts, and football Sundays. While the women and I had nothing in common other than our husbands, we eventually became friends. This is the narrative of those ladies and their STBXs, as well as how narcissists attract other narcissists. These women have all recently divorced or are in the process of doing so. I am thankful that we have found strength in each other. If you thought my story was intense, I hope this post has made you realize that there are other women in situations that are just as unimaginable as mine. I approached the other two members of the First Wives Club about posting their stories, and they were eager to share their experiences with the world, anonymously, of course. I asked each woman to choose a nickname for their ex, and I'm pleased to tell you about Dobby and Campanella. Dobby, this man was gregarious and always the life of the party. Sometimes irresponsible, yet always concerned with others' well-being. He was always nice to me, and when he met his now ex, I was overjoyed for them both. She is a sharp and fiery woman who is also kind and brutally honest. They seemed to complement each other so beautifully that I cried during their wedding. But things would take a turn only a few months after their wedding. Dobby was having an affair with a man. Yes, men, you heard correctly. And how did she learn? He confessed by text message while she was at work. Talk about perfect timing. He should have been forthright and honest with his partner about his uncertainty before the marriage. She was hurt and perplexed, and she wondered how she got there. She was kept in the dark while he searched for males online and through applications. Of course, his narcissistic personality rendered him a victim. She is the only one who is legally divorced now, and she is having the time of her life. She relocated out of state, landed a terrific job, and is relishing her new lease on life. I'm extremely proud of her and aspire to be like her someday. Campanella, allow me to tell you about this man. When he encountered his STBX, this guy practically stepped in it. She is a literal beauty queen, kind, from a good family, and quite clever. But, early on in their marriage, there were doubts about his devotion to her. On one occasion, she saw a Bumble profile of his with his profile photo chopped off. Idiot. On the exterior, he was friendly and outgoing. But he was definitely overly friendly. While he had commitment concerns, he also had issues that needed to be scientifically diagnosed. This means that his mood fluctuated with the wind. He started to get really harsh. He'd yell at her and say horrible, undeserved things. Maybe he was shoving her away out of guilt? Or perhaps he's just a jerk. I'm betting on the latter. But don't worry, remember how I mentioned she was intelligent? She began filming his rants and verbal abuse. She had enough proof and was about to depart when he recognized what she was up to. He then snatched her phone, deleted all of her recorded voice memos, and even swung at her. Isn't he a tough guy? She picked up their child from daycare the next day, filed a restraining order, and never returned. Even today, his moods fluctuate. He sends her images of people he's dating, then begs her to get back together the next day. The First Wives and I both think that he is only acting this way because he is afraid of being alone. Who is going to feed his narcissistic ego? He'll most likely be like my STBX when he meets a new stupid, woman to coddle. My purpose in telling these anecdotes was straightforward. We're all dealing with narcissists. Some of the stories are more complicated than others, but they are all heartbreaking for the victims. So, if you're reading this and think my story is too bizarre to be true, know that it's only one of many that can be told. In the end, though, we are all better off for taking the necessary measures to move forward. If you are dealing with a narcissist, a cheater, an abuser, or an overall jerk, I hope you take the necessary steps to leave and move on. There is better out there for you. All you have to do is go outside and look for it. October 19, 2021, Beer Muscles. I despise Mondays. Not because of the return to the job routine, though it did help, but because of the return of my STBX. He frequently returns from a long weekend visiting the AP in her state on Mondays, weapons blazing. He'll send me reams of demands. He'll become even more obstinate and combative. For want of a better description, he develops beer muscles. He had a fun weekend acting as a supportive boyfriend and a great stepfather. I'm sure he's great at it. Putting on a temporary show is incredibly easy. I see them lying on the couch, plotting horrible ways to damage me, ruin my finances, or just plain shit-talk me. None of this is good. Her hatred for me is most likely the result of a lie he told about me. Don't worry, sweetie, the falsehoods will begin to involve you shortly as well. They're probably drinking cheap wine and laughing evilly to themselves. I imagine her cackling and snorting at the cunning plan they devised to destroy me. Gross. So he'll be back on Monday with a plan? His puppet master made a to-do list for him. I'm seeing it now. 1. Berate her first thing in the morning, while she is just starting work, so she has a bad start to the day. 2. Demand money that you do not have the legal right to. If you irritate her sufficiently, she might give in, right? Harassment is really damaging. 3. Tell her everything she has done wrong. None of this is true, but because she is a lovely person, she will feel guilty nevertheless. 4. Apologize only half-heartedly for the affair. Don't really mean it because you can't alter it and you're not truly sorry. It's great to be patronizing, though. 5. Remind her that you are doing in the best interests of the children. Having an affair, perhaps moving out of state, fighting their mother over every choice, refusing to give her money for them, and losing your temper at the drop of a hat are all in their best interests, right? My mind is racing by the time he finishes his honey-do list. I'm emotionally weary and irritated. I'm powerless, alone, and strangely guilty. I honestly feel bad for subjecting my children to this. Why did I pick this man? Why did I subject them to this? This time, however, things were different. I didn't want to play the helpless victim this time. I was in command this time. I called the courthouse to find out what was holding up my divorce. Because they misplaced half of my documentation, the courts must be run by Lloyd and Harry. Yes, they misplaced or wrongly filed legal paperwork relevant to my divorce, as well as maybe many others. So I contacted my lawyer, who is also a jerk, and she gave the clerk hell. She was yelling and out of breath when I spoke to her later. Please let me know if you want her business card, she is well worth the money. Anyway, I got an email from her today saying that they are expediting my divorce, avoiding the Zoom calls, thanks COVID, and reaching a final decision based only on the papers I supplied. I'll be damned if I don't. My divorce appears to be closer than I had anticipated. Goodbye, helplessness, and hello, liberty. D-Day, October 27, 2021. Today was a typical day. Normal refusal to get out of bed, normal straining to put on my face in the mirror, normal coffee, normal gridlock, normal coffee stain on shirt from stop and go gridlock, normal work banter, normal paperwork, normal return home gridlock, normal homework, normal dinner, normal child wrangling for bedtime, just, well, normal. As I settled into my normal day, I saw that my emails had not been refreshed all day. While I wait for the red bubble to appear with an outrageously high double-digit number, I dread at the notion of emails that need to be replied to. I sift through all the garbage and adverts offering discounts. We all know that promo emails don't offer true discounted savings, and come to an email from my lawyer. Congratulations is the subject. I stop. A complete stop. Like a deer caught in the headlights. It has to be the case. This is everything I've been looking forward to. Everything I desired. My terrifying and unknown future are all contained in an email waiting to be opened. I'm both thrilled and terrified. When I open the email and read her words, I realize I'm not just starting a new chapter, but a whole new goddamn book. In that moment, I'm both terrified and envious of my SDBX. I'm furious that he's chosen the coward's path throughout this entire process. He never felt the same heartbreak, anguish, frustration, envy, or inadequacy that I experienced. He leapt from my lily pad to hers like the disgusting toad he is and never got wet. Meanwhile, I'm in a pond with no lily pads in sight and drowning. I listen to my own thoughts and am repulsed by this woe is me mentality, yet it is unshakable. I believe I have the right to feel this way, but my terrible ass refuses to show the world the terror I am suppressing. I take a deep breath and open it. It has been completed. We've finished. I'm free now that the procedure is complete. I really should be drinking. Celebrating by popping the cork. But I think what people don't mention is that divorce is more akin to death. Death to a life you formerly led. The stability you thought you had is gone. Death to the security you've grown accustomed to. Now I'm wondering, what do individuals do at times of death and despair? They consume food. Check, I've already done it. Friends and relatives provide them with solace. Check, my loved ones are my rock on which I significantly rely. They recall the happy times. Check, I have my boys to remind me that even though things went wrong, I have two amazing people to show for it. They proceed. There you have it. Continue your journey. I need to think about the future. No, not a romantic one, but a future that I can shape. Decisions are all mine to make. Memories that I have created. And, for once, I'm going to be selfish. I can make decisions that will benefit my boys and me. I can take life by the horns and tame it. Its head is now on my mantle as a memory of the period when I found courage and faced life head-on. I'm prepared. So, for those of you who have been with me since the beginning, this is the post you've been waiting for. A woman who has completed her journey. A woman who may not have made a perfect circle, but she is making an effort. A lady who will still have huge bumps and divots ahead of her by tackling him repeatedly, begging for money, moving, and generally being a jerk. Some of you will quit reading, and if this is the end of our conversation, I thank you and wish you the best. Some may continue reading solely to find out what happens to my ex-husband and what karma he may suffer in the future. Being authentic, honest, and vulnerable in my writing has been extremely beneficial to me. I hope I was able to assist some of you in the process, and as a result, I will continue to write, for you and for me. I've handled this entire adventure blindly and have disclosed my story and sacred inner thoughts to you. So, one last piece of advice: stay stylish, feisty, and a little badassy. To be continued.